Hello everyone, this is the weekly Q&A live stream. We've talked about some intros, but decided to hold off on them because they tend to be really terrible intros. I'm your host, Mod Acorn, for today, and we've got Mod Arcane.
Hi.
Mod Oasis.
Hello.
And Mod Rock.
Howdy.
And behind the scenes, you've got our live stream producer, Mod Spear, and on Twitch chat today is Mod Tide. So tag Mod Tide if you have any questions so that we can get through those as soon as possible. Before we start, we always do our basic announcements, and guess what? They're really short today because there's a lot of things that have already been finished. So if you aren't aware, and you can't see this cool, lovely background with some words down there, Darkmeyer is officially out. So go play the quest, do Sins of the Father, explore Darkmeyer, and try to complete the Hollowed Sepulchre. Also, we have the Gillinor Gazette that was out just recently. That includes some information regarding our PvP vision, including the Wilderness Hub, and a little bit of information about our art direction and some inconsistent styles within our game. So, I think that's it regarding our announcements. So, before we dive into our questions, and with this live stream, it's going to be slightly different because we want to make sure that we answer as many questions that we've been missing out throughout the past couple of weeks. Instead of having regular topics, we've just got a load of random miscellaneous questions that have been asked. So we'll go through all those as quick as possible. But let's start with, how is everyone?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been really sunny weather over here, and I've been listening to everyone in Cambridge complain all week. So yeah, I'm on the positive side of this.
When do I not complain?
Bit of a rough weekend. Felt a bit sick. My voice is still a little bit weird, but I'm on the mend, so I'm doing all right.
I've just been gaming all weekend. I am cooking 25,000 gram ones that I fished, so I've only got a couple of K left to go, so no XP waste and all that.
Oh God! I was going to ask what everyone's. I was going to ask what everyone's doing this past week, and we all know the answer is going to be playing old school. So there's probably no point asking it.
I'm literally sat at like Hesidious range right now.
That was going to be my next question as well. Last live stream, someone on YouTube made a comment with the quote, "It's pretty obvious that the mods are playing old school while doing this live stream. So if you are, what are you doing?"
Trying to get my cooking back.
I'm not actually playing right now. I do generally play work, AFK and some woodcutting or anything similar. But I usually just start at Twitch chat the entire time. It's more entertaining.
I'm a professional, so I don't play games while I'm working. Thank you very much.
Disappointing. Just cracking on with the hardcore.
I've been AFKing at work, I'll be honest, trying to get the heron pet, so just like AFK fishing, but I'm like really dry for a heron pet, and I'm very jelly of everyone that has one, so one day I'll get it.
I'll start sending you screenshots of mine.
I've been doing it all day.
Alright, let's go into our questions. Before we start with all of the questions that the players have asked, we have a few from the last live stream that didn't get answered. Mod Flippy was supposed to be on today's live stream to answer the Darkmeyer questions, but unfortunately was taken ill. Don't worry, he's fine. He just had some bad food. So I've got a few answers and questions from him, so that way people can get those answers. So the first question came from Dacalos Doof, and they asked if it was true that the Ring of Endurance can be obtained on the final level, and it can only be obtained on the final level of the Hollowed Sepulchre, and if we would consider making it a reward from levels 3 and 4. The answer that Mod Husky and Mod Flippy have provided us is that yes, it's true. There is no intention of making it available from floors 3 and 4 because the pressure of the time and having to complete the 5th floor to obtain it is worthy of its expensive item and the item itself. So that is something that they do not want to change. The other question that came up last live stream was from RSN Adam that asked, now that Darkmeyer is here and we have multiple teleports on the Drakan's Medallion, can we see a custom teleport animation similar to Zarek's Talisman? So Mod West responded to say that he recalls that the animation from RS3 had a swarm of bats appear as the player teleported, and that's something he certainly can do if that is what the players want. Alternatively, they could find something new, but bats are pretty cool and thematic, so it makes sense to him. And then lastly, we have a question from Lunch Zero Guy, who mentions that the Very-Watch Sentinels in Darkmeyer are rather unimpressive, and the Blood Shard, having such limited uses, isn't particularly worthwhile to kill them. Is there going to be a buff to their loot table, or even something to do with the Blood Fury itself? So, to address that, we are discussing internally about polling a buff to the Blood Shard, but we want to see where the dust settles, and someone said pun intended in their message. But after said poll, we are considering to buff the normal drop table as well. So just a heads up, we are thinking about polling it. It is something that's being discussed, and we want to make sure that we can make the Blood Shard more useful. So look out in a poll coming to you soon. Lastly, this question is something that Mod Arcane is here to answer, but Tech00RS is asking, is the team considering making the Dark Graceful set darker, as it has been asked by many Reddit posts? I currently love the Dark Graceful and plan to get one once I have the marks, but I would love it even more if it was a bit darker.
Yeah, I think a lot of people share the sentiment. I'm in the boat where I do quite like it right now. I do play on highest brightness setting as well, and I still do enjoy it, and I enjoy it over the other variants. But I do agree it would look cooler if it was a bit darker. I'm hoping to get this on the next big poll, so hopefully we can see that and see what the community thinks as well.
Cool. So that's it for our Darkmeyer questions. We just wanted to get those out of the way because we knew that we kind of left a few from behind, and we wanted to make sure that they were answered, especially because we are considering polling a few things, and we want to make sure that we get your feedback as soon as possible. So let's jump into our miscellaneous questions that we've been gathering for the past couple of weeks now. Satamari is asking, Mod Arcane, could the drop rate for the Jar of Darkness be changed? All other jars are about as rare as the pet from their respective boss, but the Jar of Darkness is insanely rare and pretty much completely impossible to obtain without getting very lucky.
Yeah, I don't think the drop rate for this jar was intentional. I think it was an oversight. And I would be in favor of it being changed, but only through a poll. So I'd be in the mindset of polling this to the community and seeing what they think, because it's not intended to be as rare as it is. It's quite ridiculous as it is right now.
Well, funnily enough, that was my very first project in joining the Graceful team. So you're welcome, and I like where it is.
The Twitch chat is saying no, quite heavily, but I mean,
but
who knows?
When we do things like that, do we then start looking at things like the evil chicken outfit? I mean, that's intentionally ridiculously rare.
Did you make that one too?
No, that one wasn't me, but I did ask Mod Lenny to put it on the collection log intentionally. So, again, you're welcome.
So if anyone has any complaints about the Jar of Darkness or the evil chicken being on the collection log, they go to you.
I will automatically drop them into my shredder. It'd be like that gift that just goes.
Let's go to the next question. This one is from Greenboy656, and he's asking, Modrock, could you guys make the Thammaron Sceptre have its own spell similar to the God Stab? Currently, Cross is much stronger than it is, and there's not much use for the Sceptre.
I do think that there probably should be a use for the Sceptre, in terms of that Vigorous Chainmace and Crossbow are intensely useful for things like Slayer and Wilderness bosses. I wouldn't be averse to adding a spell onto it, but I would have it more like the Iban Staff, where it has its own spell icon and requires you to carry like some extra runes or things like that. So I wouldn't be averse to it, but I'd make it more Ibans than Trident. Personally, I'm up for polling that at some point too.
Maybe a future poll 72.
Funny enough, we were discussing that earlier, so yeah.
I think that would fall under some of the things that we were looking into. So I think, yeah, makes sense. If that's what the community wants us to poll. Looking at you, Twitch chat. So moving to the next question, we've got, this is a question for everyone. So Magpies is asking, is the team open to revisiting dead content minigames / locations to make them more active and engaging? Minigames such as Trouble Brewing, the Fight Pits, and the Fishing Trawler could all be touched up a little bit, or gameplay / rewards wise as well. So we'll start with you, Mod Arcane.
Yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't be interested in at least giving them some love, and maybe not necessarily trying to add loads of rewards onto it or force you to feel like you need to play the content, but some of them could do with either gameplay improvements or potentially some extra rewards. I know there's a comment there with the Fishing Trawler. Fishing Trawler's motion sickness can be turned off. I can't exactly remember how you do it, if it's you talk to someone or right-click on some UI element.
I think you click on the camera in the UI.
Yeah, so I would recommend that because it is horrible to have on. Oh my god.
I know that.
Yeah. You go ahead.
I was going to say, we did poll, like a long time ago, a minigame reward shop, and that passed, but then all the rewards failed. So, I mean, there is scope there.
Yeah, I think quite a few minigames need some love, especially when you think of Trouble Brewing, and that's just a case of sitting there till the game runs out. So it'd be nice to see kind of minigames like that. Fight Pits, I don't think anyone's ever touched in the whole history of old school. And I think something like Castle Wars is still quite popular, but I think it could do with a nice revamp and modernization.
I think for me, before I jump into other mini games, there are still a few things I want to do with Last Man Standing. No,
of course.
there's obvious bias in that direction, I'm afraid. But there are definitely things I would like to do with other mini games, like half the timer for Fishing Trawler, give Castle Wars the Last Man Standing 99 stats, so that players can go in and basically just like take their own gear or whatever, but not really have to worry about the stats, to make it a little bit more fair. Things like that would be fun, but I have some 45 def, 1 def, and new maps that I want to put in for Last Man Standing first.
That sounds really exciting. Do you want to share any more about that?
Well, they were all in the Gazette. If you type !Gazette in the chat, you'll be able to go see it. But yeah, Mod West did a quick mock-up of what a like Wild Varrock would look like. So it's like taking the whole map of Varrock, pushing it in slightly, and then making it as if it's been overcome with the, like if it was part of the wars around Forinthry in the 2nd or 3rd age.
I know that there were some concerns when they saw the map that things like ladders would be used where players would just hide as bots, or even just like in general hide to win. I've confirmed with Mod West that those ladders will not be usable, and the same goes for the doors will remain something that he is concerned about, and make sure they're like open or they're just doorways.
If we do something like that, I expect us to make a couple of small tweaks to the original Last Man Standing map and just remove those kind of things from there too.
I think some of them could be still. I think a couple of ladders might still be good to keep in, because then they'll just become the obvious. Oh, they're up on the one place they can hide. So maybe 1 or 2 in each map might still be a good idea.
Controversial.
I'm gonna say it.
So next question is from Latchies. This is from Mod Arcane. is there going to be a buff or rework for Torag's hammer set? Compared to the rest of the Barrow's gear, it is quite underwhelming and kind of useless. This price confirms this, as it's sitting barely above its ALC price.
So I can already confirm that there is nothing planned for a buff or a rework for the Torag's hammer or set. I'd be struggling to think of a way to make it good as it is right now. Like, its entire mechanic is just gimmicky and doesn't really fit into any sort of PvM situation. So you'd have to come up with some sort of niche where it fits in without devaluing current items. And then it might be so niche where it's still useless. So then it doesn't really achieve that goal. I'd rather be looking into like sorting out crystal armor, which is a very common complaint, since you have to actually do quite hard gameplay to achieve such items compared to Barrows. And it's still quite a niche armor set. So I'd probably not really have this high up on a priority list at all.
Would you consider the crystal armor something for PoH 72, or something that needs more of a design beforehand?
I have put a few suggestions down for PoH 72 regarding crystal armor, yeah.
Cool. So next question is by Rit, and this is for you, Mod Oasis. At the moment, adding a stuffed head or fish to their respective trophy spaces only allows one of each to be displayed and requires it to be permanently destroyed in order to display a different head or fish that you've obtained. Could these trophy spaces be given a similar mechanic to the boss jars display, allowing them to be configured any stuffed heads or fishes that you've already obtained?
Yeah, that makes sense. It does seem a bit unfair that it gets destroyed if you want to swap it out. I can't imagine it'd be too much work to fit the boss jar interface onto the mounted head one. Yeah, be quite nice.
I've heard nightmare stories of how hard doing the PoH interfaces and the PoH system in general is. So if you're willing to do the task, I'm sure Twitch chat seems they like the idea.
I can do it, I'm not shook.
So, to the next question. This one is for Mod Rock. Fable and Water is asking, what are your thoughts on making a diary rec or a total level requirement to LMS? This is to help combat the bots in the minigame.
I wouldn't make it a diary requirement, especially as we're just about to move the location that it's in. As for the whole reason about making it how it was so that we have some content that people can kind of jump into when they start playing the game, or people that specifically prefer that kind of content don't have to go through the rigmarole of doing everything to be able to play some sort of PvP stuff. But if that's what people like in the ICU team would say would be better to help us avoid bots in the minigame, then I'm all for it.
Cool. So what we'll do is we'll head to some Twitch chat questions before we continue on with the questions that came up on social media over the past couple of weeks. So we've got Katsumoto is asking, so I guess this one can be open to anyone, is there any plans to add more superiors to different Slayer tasks?
We had one from PoH 71, so there's 4 new monsters that got polled, which is Turoth, Drakes, Worms, and Hydras, so they'll come out at some point. We've had suggestions the other week or two about like brine rats and a couple of other monsters. There's very few Slayer monsters, I think, that don't have superiors at this point, and it might be nice to round it out. But I don't agree that like every monster needs a superior variant either, so pick and choose really.
It was originally created that superiors went on things that were generally appearing in the list with the Slayer requirement, or appeared in like the Slayer Cave, the Slayer Tower, etc. The only reason we missed Turos originally was because it has 3 different iterations within the same area. So the original idea was to perhaps have 3 of them, and instead we went for none. But that doesn't really work now, because obviously you've got Brutal Black Dragons that have a 77 Slayer requirement, and there's no way that I'd think about having a superior version of a Brutal Black Dragon. So where it makes sense thematically, we can. We just in this one we're filling up ones we either missed or new ones we've added since. But yeah.
Cool. So we've got a question about the blood rune packs. So we kind of mentioned about it 2 live streams ago. And so Rills2 is asking, are we getting more info for blood rune packs to make them more accessible? I know Mod Arcane probably have something to say about this.
So there is going to be a blog being released semi soon that will sort of touch on that. Whether you guys are happy with that as a solution or not is obviously up to you, and give us your feedback. But there will be some sort of thing that might address this issue going forward.
You're not going to give any details, you're just going to be very vague.
Yep.
Okay. So look out in a blog coming to you. So we've got a question here from Birdblaze. They're asking, can the home teleport actually teleport you into your home? So I believe they're referring to whether it's the spell or the tablet as well.
There's a toggleable option in your settings to say whether you want to go inside your house or not. If you click on your settings icon, then select the house, and then you have like a teleport inside on or off.
I think he means like the Lumbridge default teleport every 30 minutes.
Well, in that case, it goes to your hometown, not your actual house. Where would it go if you didn't buy a house?
Alright, well, Birdblaze, if you're in the Twitch chat...
An optional change to get it sent to your house instead? Which...
You don't really need a free teleport to your house, do you? It's literally like a law on earth and air.
Sounds a little good.
I think it's just a confusion on their part, maybe. Or their question wasn't really well worded.
I'd say both.
So we've got this question is from Erid in the Twitch chat. Can we get anything at all about a potential hard mode Inferno?
It's not being worked on right now. It's a cool idea, though.
I think Kieran likes the idea as well.
So, in case anyone's asking, the reason why this question's come up this live stream and the last live stream is because a few players have noticed that dialogue has changed on an NPC in the Tazar area, which, when defeating Zuk, has now says "for now," which may imply that something may be in the future. But that doesn't confirm that it actually is, so just a heads up.
Winter 2017.
Okay, so we've got a question here from Blue Bonnet RS, and they're asking from the Twitch chat, can we bring back Partner Slayer?
As it stands, we're not looking to bring it back anytime soon until we have a ideal design as to what that would entail. The best thing, in my opinion, is to wait until we get like clans and group Ironman mode, because when we get those kind of systems, we can legitimately team people up over logout and things like that. So it'll be almost it's like forming a mini group in a mini clan while doing your Slayer. So until we get systems like that, you'll never be able to build a proper partnership Slayer system. So for me, it's kind of like, I think it's worth waiting till that. But that's not to say in a poll soon we couldn't look to add in a feature that I know some people use the partnership Slayer to use masters that they previously didn't have access to because of their combat level, etc. So there has been some discussions about perhaps saying people with a very high Slayer or with the Slayer cape can use any master they like regardless of combat.
it seems pretty reasonable to say that if you're a master of Slayer, you should, in terms of 99, you should be able to use any Slayer master. I mean, it kind of makes sense to some capacity.
For sure.
Cool. So go back to some of our questions, and we'll go back to the Twitch chat after that. So we've got a question here from Lunch Lad that is asking Mod Arcane, can you move the permanent ropes from the Calphite layer from the Elite Desert Diary to the Hard Diary? This would provide a bit more progression in terms of diary completion and help people who are currently hunting the KQ head, specifically for the Elite Desert Diary.
I think this would be fair. I'm going to try and push for it on the next poll blog, see what the players think.
Isn't the shortcut also on the medium? Oh, sorry, on the hard diary.
It's the shortcut and the rope saving abilities both on the elite. So it's kind of top heavy right now. And as soon as you get the elite, most players are just going to stop killing the boss anyway. So if we do change it, it's a bit more a progression, like they said.
I don't know. The Twitch chat's not very happy.
Yeah, it's 50-50. Obviously, only a poll will tell. But maybe if Mod Tide can put a straw poll together to say, should the permanent ropes be moved to the Desert Hard Diary, yes or no, then we might be able to get a bit of a gauge.
Straw poll it. Let's see. We'll check back on that straw poll after we answer a few more questions. Okay, so Oro IFL is asking, Mod Oasis, considering how hard an achievement cape is to get, aka a quest cape and PvM challenges, could it have unlimited teleports instead of just the 10?
Infinite is quite a big buff in comparison from 10. Maybe an increase from 10 to something a bit higher. I don't know, Infinite seems like a very big jump, I'd say.
There's definitely a reason that we put a cap on it. I can't remember what that was. I think like increasing it to it benefits clue hunters.
It's basically just clues, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, looking at the straw poll that Mod Tide is putting together, yes, you are good to go, Mod Tide. Feel free to send that straw poll out to everyone. So, we've now moving on to the next question. EUXY is asking Mod Arcane, can an NPC be added to tell us how many points we've earned from Chambers of Xeric?
I think this would be really cool. I myself have this really, really big spreadsheet with all of my raids, all of my times, all of my drops, all of my points, and just like analyzing all of it just to figure out how lucky or unlucky I am. And I know a lot of other players do it too. And it would be kind of cool for that to be tracked automatically in some way, either personal points or total points. It wouldn't be able to work retroactively though. They're not stored right now in any capacity, which would be a big shame, but it might be a nice thing going forward. I like the idea.
Sounds like it's just another thing to point and laugh at Sincat. How many points he goes without getting his dust? I don't know.
His helmet, yeah.
Alright, so while the straw poll, which is in the chat now, so make sure you vote, we have the next question that I'll read out and then we'll come back to that straw poll. So, Wings with a Z is asking, Mod Oasis, can the Soul Bearer be changed to work like the Herb Sack, Seed Box, and the Rune Pouch, where upon pickup of an ensouled head, a charge will automatically use to be sent to the bank? Using heads on the Soul Bearer or clicking Feel, it feels clunky, and during the combat, because there are text windows that get interrupted constantly.
Well, if you waited one more week, one more day, you would have had the answer. It's going out, I'm pretty sure it's going out in tomorrow's update. Yeah. So now there's an option on the Soul Bearer where you can click yes, don't ask me again, and then you can go to, and then when you click fill in the future, you'll go straight to the bank. And if you want that turned back on, you can go to the keymaster, and he'll turn it back on for you, so you can have the warning there again.
Cool. So yeah, it's coming next update, guys. So it's a little different than what they're suggesting, but hopefully we'll resolve some of the unnecessary chat box messages that you're getting.
Yeah, you should be able to do it in combat as well, I'm pretty sure, because there's no chat box for you to click.
Exciting. Okay, let's look at the straw poll results. We have 1,118 votes so far, and 68% of the people are saying yes, that the permanent rope should be moved to the hard diary. 26% are saying no, and then the 6% are saying skip. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
That means it could fail a poll.
It could also pass, though. Worth a shot. See what happens.
People in the Twitch chat are using the ! poll command. That's not the command to access the poll. Click the link supplied by ModTide, and then we can revisit the results at the end of this live stream.
I do like the people that clicked on a poll just to skip the question on a one-question poll and come back to it.
I mean, to be fair, I will own up. I said skip only because I didn't want to come off as biased in the results. So, just a heads up. Alright, next question. It is another LMS question for you, Modrock. Barian is asking, could we be given the option to play casual LMS games on a non-LMS world? This would be very nice for the more casual CCs to do, so that some CCs can do the LMS games with no rewards.
In short words, no. But there is a reason why, because of the way that the system works. We have to flag specific worlds to be allowed to do it, and we wouldn't be able to flag every world in that. Also enable the competitive, and with people already concerned about bots at last man standing, that isn't something I'd be willing to open up.
It's a fair point, and we don't want to make a mini game like harder for people to find games as well, because you need quite a hefty number of people in order to get a game going, and if you have them open everywhere, there's a chance that it will be difficult to find one that's active.
Yeah, funneling players into specific worlds has always been a better way to increase the activity on that minigame, because it means you're more likely to have people there already. If you meet other people and you're doing a casual like clan event or a CC event, why not invite them to your CC and become part of your community?
You're so wholesome. Just
No. I've got to keep up my grumpy exterior.
Alright, next question is from Fengzi, and this is for you, Mod Arcane. First of all, they said hi. The next thing is they're saying, would you ever consider lowering the pet rate for the Nightmare in smaller teams, such as a solo or duo? Currently, 5-man teams is the best method for obtaining the pet. However, less and less people are killing the boss, which is making it difficult to form teams.
So a similar question was asked last week, I believe, where someone suggested that the boss was able to scale down to 3 people. It's currently 5. This would effectively make the boss a lot easier to kill in solo, duo, trio, and 4-man. And uniques would obviously come into the game a lot more. I think he wants to investigate it a bit more in terms of how it can affect the prices and how fast the items are coming into the game, etc. I assume maybe after he finishes investigating that, depending on what he decides, the pet rate could be looked at separately if he decides to go against it. But personally, I don't really like the idea of the pet rate scaling whilst the boss doesn't, so that feels kind of weird to me. But we'll see where Husky goes with his investigations on them there.
Hopefully before the next poll, if we do have to poll something, that we've got everything ready, or it might be a little bit.
I think we would poll the scaling anyway, if we were to do it that way, and then include more information about drops and pet rates and stuff.
Fair. Alright, so let's jump into some Twitch chat questions, because we've got quite a few that have been piling up. So, I'm not going to say this person's name, sorry, just don't want to say something I shouldn't be saying on the live stream. Redacted. Are there any plans to fix Wilderness Slayer? Ever since the removal of emblems, it's very underwhelming.
Not really fixing it because nothing's broken.
You might maybe with the release of the Enclave, it might be a little bit more worth doing active. What's the right word? Because it'll be a bit easier to get to the different areas.
We do have the. Well, I know it's not that helpful, but hopefully tomorrow we'll increase the spawns on the Bloodvelds and Black Knights. So while that's not totally helpful, it does fall under Wilderness Slayer and should help you get faster kills if you get those tasks.
It would be definitely be something worth reviewing post Enclave. I think that's enough of a update to kind of tweak the possibilities, and therefore we would need to kind of like regather some data based on the new variables.
Yeah.
Cool. So from Twitch chat, I'm gonna ask our current Ironmen here on the live stream. So we've got Rock and Arcane, and technically Oasis, you play an Ironman too. So I guess you guys are all Ironmen. Random name 0K is asking, can we add a feature for Ironmen accounts to use items on the collection log in order to show them as achieved? A lot of us have items from before the collection log that we clearly only could have as a drop received before being known.
That's not 100% true, because previously there was also the ability to have boosters and things like that. So it was an active decision that was made in order that any item that was tradable would not be automatically placed in.
Cool. Any other people? I mean, the Twitch chat seems to be 50-50 on it.
A lot of them seem to be flaming me based on that. But yeah, that was the intention for doing so, because there was methods that people could have gained those items specifically without having done so on their own. So in the interest of fairness, that was what was decided.
Okay. So while I'm not sure if this is a troll question, I feel like we should answer it because maybe this guy really is interested in the answer. Sly Level wants to know if we can get gold cannonballs because it would be a good gold bar sink.
But they do less damage? Because it's soft?
Yeah. I think so. They just kind of like bounce off.
Don't we use gold cannonballs in one of the quests where you make the golden dwarven helmet?
Probably.
So technically they already exist.
But why would you want that? Is it just because you want to get rid of your gold bars?
It'd be useful for Ironmen macro things.
Less damage, takes 4 times as long to smelt.
I mean, someone's saying for the fashion scape, but I don't see how firing gold balls at NPCs is.
Gold bars are cheaper than steel anyway, so it's not like you're even flexing cash, unless it takes 8 bars to make one single cannonball.
A whole inventory for one cannonball.
I mean, if the community wants it, you can't
you
deny them.
If you were cannoning somewhere and someone rocked up, put down their cannon, and shooting gold cannonballs, I mean, you'd be outdone, really.
I'd flex the Runite cannonballs, but not the gold ones.
That's our version of gold, actually. Yeah, Runite cannonballs, maybe.
Right, next question. Okay, we shouldn't talk about this any longer. So Envy the Rabbit on Twitch chat is asking, can you make it so butlers stop interrupting when making tablets in your PoH?
Doesn't it depend what you're doing at the time as to whether they interrupt you or not? Because I know when you're making tables and things like that, depending on what state you're in while doing it, they will actually just walk up to you and not say anything.
Not sure.
I can't say I've made tablets with the butler personally.
Yeah, I can imagine it's only a problem with the really long AFK things you do in a PoH, since most of it's fairly click intensive and fast paced.
Right. So, just gonna say that we don't know. So actually, this question is in the Twitch chat. So I've also collated your question from Reddit, but it looks like you're here now, so we might as well answer it. Denchi, you're asking if the Firemaking cape can ever become a Tinderbox, and I think also you've asked in the past if it could be alchable.
I see it as a why not kind of thing. What else use does the Firemaking cape have? Is the sense?
It's a light source.
Light source, yeah.
I don't know. I've found the light source to be quite handy. I mean, admittedly, like Kanda in headgear and the torch does exactly the same thing. But whenever you want to wear your Slayer cape, so your Slayer helm, then I tend, because I don't have a fire cape on my iron yet, I tend to use the Firemaking one and things like that for going underground to Tears of Guthix, things like that.
There's a lot of people just question marking.
I know, it's because I don't play properly or something like that.
It's just kind of, is there much use in it being a Tinder box as well as a, it's quite a niche thing, I'd say.
Given that a Tinderbox is like 3 or 4 GP.
Yeah. What is like, while on the topic of skill capes, when because the backend code for a mithril grapple is like a pain to type, we end up just giving ourselves a fletching cape so that we could just get a free mithril grapple. I know that I do that when testing stuff, but what is the code for mithril grapple?
It's probably something like expo _mithril or rope _attached _2 _mithril _grapple or something. I don't know.
Just give yourself the fletching cape and you're good to go. Right, next question. This is for Mod Oasis from Rupert. What is the planned unlock order for the monkey backpack transmogs?
Yeah, I got up here. I can give you the laps you'll need to do as well. So 100, you'll get the Karamjan, 250 zombie, 500 maniacal, 1,000 skeleton, 1,500 Kruk Jr., and 2,500 Prince Awauye, which is a really cute name.
I did like the meme where they did the Ulu face on the prince.
I have to see that recreated with the monkey sitting on your shoulder.
Yes.
Just so I don't. Hopefully, it's not too long till it gets released as well. It's now sitting in QA, so
it will either be planned for next week if we're putting Poll 71 out against the schedule, or the week after.
Cool. So you don't have too long to wait over.
Do you want to tell them the thing that you were working on with the monkey backpacks today?
Oh, they'll be in the collection log as well. The original monkey won't be, because I thought that's just going to be it's a little bit too much hassle for people who've already got the monkey and adding it in. But, as you unlock, when you go to transform your monkey, it'll be added to the collection log as well. So, ooh.
Could you not have it automatically check the variable of the quest after you get when you try to unlock the first on the through the agility labs?
It's not a bad shout. But then you'd have to complete an extra lap, and people might pop it like,
Well, no, because laps aren't tracked now. As soon as you hit the first milestone, you'll get the old one as the first one as well.
Yeah, we can.
Or at the I think that there's ways if we want to.
We'll think about it before we release it, hopefully. So we have a question here from RSN Adam. This is for you, Mod Arcane. A very common mechanic used in luring on PvP worlds is stall animations. This includes origami balloons, various books/most books, Calquat kegs, and potentially more items. Can we have the animation stall removed, if not, only on a PvP world? This is to remove scammers and real world traders from abusing them.
Yeah.
That's just short, yes.
No, it needs to be done. There's a bunch of problems with luring in this game, and if we can help out in these small ways when possible, I think it really helps.
Is this something you're currently looking into?
I do have a list of a bunch of problems in terms of luring and various lures, and trying to think of ways to fix them without trying to remove the functionality on the items in the first place, or the content.
Do you think that we could see some of these, or do you want to just do it all as one lump sum, or just release as you can?
I assume they'll come out as they can. We'll try and fit them in here and there when I have time.
Cool. Twitch chat seems to be pretty positive towards it. Quite excited that hopefully we can stop people being lured. But again, there's probably going to be something else. So if you see something and after that, like after the changes are made, let us know. And there might not be something we can do.
If you know what the item is, report it in the bug reports in game as well. That's always helpful.
Yes. Cool. So, next question is by My Mage Rules. So this is for Mod Rock and Mod Arcane. But we can go with Mod Rock first. Has the Jagex team ever considered implementing a ShardShare or similar system? As a moderator of a large raiding community, I see players scam their teammates on a daily basis. Implementing ShardShare would eliminate this, making raiding with people you're not familiar with much safer.
Yep, polled twice, failed. There's not a lot more I can really say about that. We have tried in the past. We tried CoinShare, we tried ShardShare, a few various different ways. It would have been a different version of CoinShare as opposed to what RuneScape had. But yeah, we've tried it in the past and it straight up failed. That was a while ago. That does mean it could be polled again. But yeah, it would need quite a bit of design and obviously reviewing the old one, what people didn't like, etc. Whether it passed now, I don't know. I would probably lean towards a no. At the same time, like, I can understand that raiding with randoms may only be the way you do it, but perhaps try and join various raiding communities that are known to be pretty trusted within the community themselves, and learn to join people in those communities.
Everyone else is in agreement. Yep. Cool. Next question is from Falcon Punch, and this is for Mod Oasis. Can the equipable Pearl fishing rods be given the Dragon Harpoon special? They currently aren't worth using, since the extra inventory slot isn't worth not having that special.
I'm not too familiar with the Pearl fishing rods. How much harder is the Dragon?
They just want the rod to give a +3 boost. That was it. But if you give it the special attack, then it's still not going to have much use, because what with +3 really going to benefit a fishing spot that uses a rod like that?
Eh,
I might be missing something here. If I am, do let me know. But
Yeah, Falcon Punch, get us talk to us and let us know. Okay, this one is for you, Mod Arcane. Conade Connor is asking, can we have a dark mode for Vorkath, God Wars Dungeon, and other snowy areas? It would help reduce eye strain.
So I just want to remind you that the brightness feature does exist, and that you can turn it down if you're having problems. There are also other things you can probably install that might help with this. I do understand the concern that there's a lot of snow. I'm not really sure what a dark mode would really look like. Are you thinking of like the Zami boss, like where everything's just darker? Do you want black snow? I can't really imagine any of these looking very good or making a lot of sense.
Should we just invert the colours when you go into these areas if you have dark mode turned on?
Oh, funny suggestion.
I know that Mod West has talked to me about redoing Wintertodd's environment, not particularly because it's snowy, but more so that he is aware that it is an eyesore, and he wanted to be more incorporating of the skilling boss itself rather than it just being cold and snowy. Right. So, next question is from Lunch Lad, and they are asking, Mod Oasis, the Master Scrollbook. Currently, if you have no default teleport selected, the left click on the book does absolutely nothing. Could you make so that the left click teleport option on the book simply opens the book if there's no default teleport selected?
Yep, and again, this is something that's going out in tomorrow's update. It's been written down on kind of one of the trivial updates for tomorrow, so you should have that tomorrow.
Woo! Twitch chat's pretty happy about that. It's good.
Hey.
Alright, here to help 225 is asking, Mod Rock, please can you talk about increasing the singles PJ timer? This has been heavily discussed, and I was surprised when it was not addressed in the recent State of the PvP blog, and it would be really helpful to get a stance from Jagex.
it does get heavily discussed because some people want it one way and some people want it another way. And it's one thing like the spec timer that I don't think you're ever going to make people happy with. What we do to this, I don't know. Whether we increase it in certain worlds. Is it only in PvP worlds, is it?
Yeah, I think that...
Or is it in Bounty Hunter worlds too? It's one of those ones that you're never really going to please everyone. I don't think so. If you change it one way, you'll only have people change it the other way. Which one's best? I don't know. That would be something we'd have to kind of like gather data on and find out. Singles PKs will probably love it. Team PKs won't. So yeah, it's a very double-edged sword, that one.
I do know that like you do have regular meetings with ModSween about like PvP and what we're going to include in the next Gillinor Gazette. So it is something that's not being ignored. It is being looked at. It is being discussed. We just want to make sure that we get the right balance.
Yeah, changing that thing specifically would be like the spec timers. It would be seen controversial by the players who don't like it, but loved by the players who do. And either way, you're just going to annoy people. It's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yep. All right. Go to the next question. This is quite a lengthy one, so I'm going to try to shorten it. But Drubal is asking, Mod Arcane, the Gauntlet is currently very, 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 and they stress that, dangerous for hardcore Ironmen. Can you make it so that the teleport crystals made in the Gauntlet can be used on the Hun Elf fight to teleport out of the Gauntlet? Currently, the only way is to leave by quick exiting on one of the 4 walls, which are not accessible during much of the fight.
So, first of all, I don't think this is true at all. When you try to quick exit on one of the doors or the passageways, whatever, you can do that from a distance. So you don't have to be right next to the door for this to happen, and you will immediately get kicked out. There might be some issues with line of sight, but I can't imagine that there's any corner of the fight arena where you couldn't click on any of the exits to leave. So maybe you're trying to click on the wrong one that you don't have line of sight to. But it's quite easy to get out there already, and trying to make that easier is kind of against the spirit of the game mode in the first place. It's supposed to be hard and dangerous, and maybe just don't go for the blade if you can't click on a door. I don't know.
So what you're saying is get good.
I'm saying get good. I'm saying get good.
Cool.
I think they more expect me to say that these days.
So this question is from Epherian Hex, Mod Oasis. So I'm asking you this question because you worked on the last spacebar question. But has there been any discussion regarding changes to construction, such as making the spacebar make the last known item?
Yeah, I think we did talk about it when I was doing the spacebar for those make X menus. But it was something that needed to be handled separately. I think those menus probably need a bit of a redesign anyway. They look very kind of outdated, but it would be quite cool to have that kind of implemented as well as a bit of a redesign on those interfaces.
There's some people that are like, yes, no.
I'm curious what the community feels like this, because I think there's something similar was polled previously, where you could have left-click build instead of having to go currently right-click build and right-click remove. And that was deemed as easy escape for obvious reasons, even though technically the XP rates wouldn't go up. It would just be how easy to get the XP rates that would effectively be changed. This would be kind of similar, since you would just hold down space instead of maybe 6. I'm not sure if the community is a bit happier with that or less happy. But I think something could probably be pulled around construction and making it a bit less carpal tunnel-y.
Cool. So the next question is from Breezy, and they're asking, Mod Arcane, would it be possible for already tracked non-bosses such as Herbivore or high gambles to be added to the HiScores?
It'd definitely be possible, and it would make sense, but I think, again, like we've said multiple times on a similar topic, we're going to wait on anything to do with HiScores. We don't want to burden the system anymore. We want to wait until it's completely resolved and sorted before feature creeping it anymore.
I just find it a little bit weird, personally, to have a Herbivore high score thing. It's not a boss, it's not a mini game, it's not a skill. Yeah, then it's on your achievement log or whatever, so
Wintertodt?
That's technically classed as a skilling boss, so that has one, doesn't it?
I think the consistency is very grey in that area.
While it is an activity, I wouldn't say it's classified as a boss by any means.
Alright, so we've got a question from Kylinator, or yeah, I think that's Kylinator. So I'll address this one to you first, Modrock. What are the team's thoughts on buffing the Dragon Bone necklace to Amulet of Power stats and buff the Bone Crusher necklace to Amulet of Glory stats?
Don't see any issues with that off the top of my head. People don't particularly tend to use glories on those powers, so would they even be used with those stats? I don't know. I don't know if that would necessarily be enough to warrant actually using them. It's like a very small change, and I don't think it's enough to warrant the use of it.
I don't know. Twitch chat seems to be quite positive for it, but who knows? So we've got a few Twitch chat questions. Let's go into those so that we can get a few done before we go back onto the poll results. Modtide, if you could just link the straw poll again so that players can vote, that would be lovely before we review the results at the end of the stream. Alright, so we have a question here that is asking, Sid, or SI_DD, is asking, is the HUD for Raids 1 from Poll 71 coming out tomorrow?
I think so. Rock, confirm?
Yep. I have merged it for release this week. Can confirm. Whether I did it correctly is another question. But that's what QA is for. Yes, it's scheduled for this week.
Cool. And also, alongside that, because we get the question asked a lot, will we be resetting the world record for solo Chambers of Zerg challenge mode?
Yeah, the tool that we have to run a bunch of scripts with has the ability to reset all of the challenge mode Chambers times now. So if we can reset the solo one, which we're planning to do, as well as if anything gets bugged in the future, it'll be a lot easier to reset them. We won't need to update for it. We can just reset them on a whim if anyone finds a bug that abuses them times.
So while with this week's game update, we have to go into the game after the update is live to reset it. So it might not appear immediately, and we want to make sure it works. So while it may say that we are changing it today, as in tomorrow, just be aware that it might not be immediately after the game update. Cool. So one of the last questions here, and then we'll say the poll results. Sergeant_Bambi is asking, could we get a pet roll chance when killing the Queen in the Barbarian Assault in addition to the high gambles chances?
That'd be a pretty significant change. Not sure about that.
Can you repeat the question? I was replying to people in the chat. Sorry.
The question is from Sergeant Bambi, could we get a pet roll chance when killing the Queen in Barbarian Assault in addition to the high gamble chances?
I can see why you would. It would be a positive thing, but I don't know whether it would necessarily be fair on the people that have come and got it beforehand. It is an intentionally rare pet.
Pets in general should be rare, right? And whilst some pets will get easier to obtain over time due to new gear or just mechanics, quality of life changes, whatever, this would be such a significant increase of how fast you get this pet. Like, I don't think that'd be fair at all. Like, quite reasonable.
You can also be carried for the pet.
Yeah.
Like, completely carried.
Alright. So we will just quickly answer this next question because it should be short. Can we expect the Gauntlet changes to come in this week's or next week's update? And that is from Arid.
Definitely not this week. Maybe next week, but maybe depends on the schedule.
Cool. Let's review the poll results. So, since towards the beginning of this live stream, we asked a question, should the permanent rope be moved to the hard diary? This is regarding the Calvite Queen. And we have 1,447 votes, 69 Kappa % of the people are saying yes, and 25% say no.
It basically depends how you poll it. On the wording, should it be moved, or
you don't seem pretty pleased with that.
No, I don't think this is something that necessarily bothers me, and I know that goes against my apparently general negative demeanor. But no, I would move one of the two onto the hard, so there is that sense of progression. I do agree with that. Whether I would do the ropes before the shortcut, I don't know. I guess that it's all that I don't mind either way on this one.
Cool. So, we're going to wrap up with a few announcements. We answered all the questions that we had gathered previously, and we answered quite a few Twitter chat questions. That should be good. So, in the announcements, Darkmeyer, if you haven't noticed, is out. So, go do the content, do the Hard Sepulchre, do the Sins of the Father quest. We also have a few changes coming with this week's game update, that the Wardens, which are the team that made the Sins of the Father and Hull Sepulchre, to come out tomorrow. And we also have a statement regarding XP balancing within the Hull Sepulchre. So keep an eye out. But for now, you can read the Darkmeyer blog using the command !Darkmeyer. We also have the Gillinor Gazette that came out recently for the month of June. That includes some information about our PvP vision, which also is information about Bounty Hunter boosting, which gets asked quite a lot, so make sure you read that section. We also have a section on the Wilderness Hub, and a section on some inconsistencies within our art style within Old School. So take a read. You can find that blog using the command !Gazette. And that is our news announcements. Thank you for tuning in, and see you guys next week.
Bye.